The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You know this feeling, don't you? It is the moment you look at a stranger and feel an immediate, terrifying sense of recognition. It isn't just physical attraction, it is something ancient. It feels as though you have known them for 1,000 years, and meeting them in this lifetime is simply a reunion. The noise of the world suddenly fades into the background. The nervous anxiety that usually hums beneath your skin goes quiet. For the first time in your life, you feel completely exposed, yet completely safe. But then, the logic kicks in. Your mind tries to rationalize it. You tell yourself it doesn't make sense. Maybe the timing is wrong. Maybe they are thousands of miles away. Maybe they are emotionally unavailable. Or maybe you are. You try to walk away. You try to sever the cord. But no matter how much distance you put between you, no matter how many months or years pass, the frequency remains. You can still feel them. You dream of them when you least expect it. You hear their name in crowded rooms. You feel their mood shifts even when you haven't spoken in silence. You are not crazy. You are not imagining this. You are not obsessed. You are experiencing a phenomenon that Carl Jung called a psychic reality. In this video, we are going to explore the deep psychological and spiritual mechanics of why this happens. We will uncover why the universe often separates two people who seem perfect for each other, and how that very separation is actually the most critical part of your union. By the end of this journey, you will understand that physical distance is an illusion, and that once two souls lock into the same frequency, the connection can never be broken. It can only evolve. If you are ready to understand the truth of your own heart, I invite you to click the subscribe button and join the Timeless Wisdom official community. We are a tribe of seekers dedicated to understanding the laws of the universe and the depths of the human experience. Welcome home.
The unconscious contract, archetypes at play. Let us begin by dismantling the myth of choice. We like to believe that we choose our partners based on a checklist of logical preferences. Someone who is kind, successful, attractive, or stable. But if you look at your own history, you know this isn't true. The people who shake the foundations of your soul rarely fit the checklist you wrote down in your journal. Carl Jung taught us that the ego, your conscious mind, thinks it is in control, but it is actually the unconscious that holds the steering wheel. Jung proposed that within every man, there is an inner feminine image called the anima, and within every woman, there is an inner masculine image called the animus. These are not just biological terms. They are archetypal blueprints of your own soul. When you meet that one person who stops time, what is actually happening is a massive projection of these internal archetypes. You are not just seeing a person, you are seeing a mirror of your own hidden depth. This is why the connection feels so overwhelming. It is not just that you love them, it is that they represent the missing piece of your own psyche. They hold the key to parts of yourself that you have locked away, your shadow, your potential, your unhealed wounds, and your highest divinity. This is the unconscious contract. Before your conscious minds ever exchanged a single word, your unconscious selves had already signed a treaty. Your soul recognized its counterpart and said, "Yes, this one. This is the one who will trigger my growth." This explains the intensity. It explains why you can be in a room full of attractive, successful, wonderful people and feel absolutely nothing, yet one glance from this specific person can bring you to your knees. It is not about compatibility in the modern sense. It is about complementarity in the spiritual sense. They possess the specific frequency required to unlock your evolution. However, this is also where the danger lies. Because this recognition feels so much like home, we often make the mistake of thinking it is meant to be easy. We think, if the connection is this strong, everything should flow perfectly. But Jung warns us that the encounter with the soul is never easy. It is a fire, and fire burns before it purifies. The resonance field. To understand why you cannot sever this bond, we must look beyond psychology and touch upon the physics of vibration. Everything in this universe, from the stars above you to the cells within your body, is energy vibrating at a specific frequency. Most people you meet in your life are vibrating on different stations. You might interact with them, you might even love them, but your fundamental signals pass through each other without locking in. It is like two radio stations playing different songs. There is no harmony, just noise. But when you meet this person, something rare happens. Resonance. Think of two tuning forks. If you strike one tuning fork and bring it near another of the exact same calibration, the second fork will begin to vibrate and sing, even though you never touched it. This is the physics of sympathetic resonance. This is exactly what happens between you and this person. You are tuned to the same unique frequency. This is why you can sense their emotions before they speak. This is why you often find yourself texting them at the exact moment they are thinking of you. This is why, when you are together, there is a profound silence that doesn't feel empty, it feels full. This resonance creates a third entity. Jung often spoke of the relationship itself as a living thing, separate from the two individuals. When your frequencies locked, you created a shared energy field. Even if you are physically separated by oceans, even if you block them on social media, even if you try to hate them, that energy field still exists. You cannot turn off a frequency that is inherent to your design. Many of you are currently in a period of separation from this person. You are suffering because you are trying to use logic to break an energetic bond. You tell yourself, they haven't called, so they don't care. You tell yourself, it's over. But your intuition, the receiver of that frequency, is screaming that it is not over. Here is the difficult truth that American culture, with its obsession with instant gratification, refuses to teach you. This resonance was not given to you to make you happy. At least, not yet. It was given to you to wake you up. The intensity of this frequency is designed to shatter your ego's defenses. If the connection were mild, you could ignore it. You could go back to sleep. But because the signal is so strong, because it haunts you, you are forced to go inward. You are forced to ask, who am I without them? And this brings us to the most painful, yet necessary phase of this journey, the great separation. Why the soul demands distance. If this connection is so rare, so powerful, and so meant to be, why does it hurt so much? Why does the universe seem to conspire to keep you apart? This is the question that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. It is the paradox that drives people into despair. You feel the truth of the love, yet the reality of the situation contradicts it. But Carl Jung offers us a different lens. He suggests that we look at separation not as a punishment, but as a biological necessity for the soul. Imagine for a moment that you plugged a standard household appliance into a high-voltage power line. What would happen? It would blow the circuit. It would catch fire. The appliance is not built to handle that much current. When you first meet this person who shares your soul frequency, the voltage is immense. It is blinding. It is the greatest feeling in the world, but it is also a shock to your system. Your ego, the small self that cares about safety, control, and image, cannot sustain that level of intensity for long. If you stayed in that initial state of union without doing the inner work, you would lose yourself completely. You would dissolve into the other person, becoming codependent, anxious, and hollow. The universe is too wise to let that happen. It loves you too much to let you burn out. So it intervenes. It creates the separation. It introduces the obstacle. Maybe it is a geographical move. Maybe it is a sudden misunderstanding. Maybe one of you gets scared and runs away. We call this the running phase, but in spiritual terms, it is the incubation phase. This distance is forced upon you to protect your individuality. Jung called this process individuation. It is the lifelong journey of becoming your true, whole self. The tragedy of modern relationships is that two broken people come together expecting the other to complete them. But a true soul connection, a frequency lock, requires two whole people. The separation is the test. It is asking you, can you hold this frequency without the physical presence of the person? If you need them to be physically present to feel okay, then you are not in love. You are in addiction. The universe rips the drug away to force you to find the source of that love within yourself. You are being pushed to become the person you were with them, but on your own. The projection break. This leads us to one of Jung's most difficult concepts, the withdrawal of projections. During the honeymoon phase, or the initial meeting, you weren't just seeing the other person. You were projecting your own golden shadow onto them. The golden shadow consists of all the magnificent, powerful, and divine qualities within yourself that you are too afraid to own. If you felt they were the strongest person you'd ever met, it was because you were projecting your own dormant strength. If you felt they were the most creative or most spiritual soul, it was your own creativity and spirituality reflecting back at you. When they leave, when the silence sets in, it feels like they took that magic with them. You feel empty. You feel less than. You feel like the color has been drained from the world. But here is the secret. They didn't take the magic. They just stopped carrying it for you. The separation is forcing you to take back your gold. It is forcing you to eat your own shadow. Every time you cry because you miss their strength, the universe is nudging you. Be strong. Every time you miss their warmth, the universe is saying, be warm to yourself. You must stop looking at them as the source of the frequency and realize they were just the trigger. The frequency lives in you. It always has. This is the hardest work a human being can do. It requires you to sit in the fire of your own loneliness and not run away. It requires you to look at your pain and say, this is mine. Most people fail this test. They try to numb the pain. They jump into rebound relationships to distract themselves. They vilify the other person, calling them a narcissist or toxic just to protect their own ego. They try to lower their frequency to match the world around them because the high frequency of the soul connection is too painful to bear alone. But you are still watching this video. That means you are not most people. You are choosing to stay in the fire. The physics of entanglement. Now let's address the fear that plagues you the most. The fear that while you are doing this deep inner work, the bond is fading. The fear that out of sight, out of mind is true. This is where we must bridge the gap between psychology and quantum mechanics. In quantum physics, there is a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. It states that when two particles interact in a certain way, they become linked. From that moment on, the state of one particle instantly affects the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. You could put one particle in New York and the other on the dark side of the moon. If you change the spin of the one in New York, the one on the moon changes instantly, faster than the speed of light. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. Jung called it the collective unconscious. When two souls lock into the same frequency, they become entangled. This is not a metaphor, it is an energetic fact. This is why, during periods of no contact, the connection often feels stronger than when you were speaking every day. The superficial noise of words and texts is gone, leaving only the pure signal of the bond. Have you ever had the experience where you suddenly felt a wave of immense sadness wash over you for no reason? Or a sudden burst of inexplicable joy? Or perhaps the smell of their perfume or cologne when no one is there? These are not hallucinations. These are data points. You are receiving the signal from the other end of the line. And here is the most fascinating part: synchronicity. Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences. When you are entangled with someone, the universe begins to mirror that connection in your external reality. You decide to finally let them go and move on, and 10 minutes later, you see their car. You hear their favorite song in the grocery store. You look at the clock and it's 11:11 or their birthday numbers. You meet a stranger who has their name. The skeptic calls this confirmation bias. The mystic knows it is the universe winking at you. These synchronicities are guardrails. They are there to remind you that the invisible thread is still intact. The universe is telling you, you don't need to worry. You don't need to force it. The link is alive. It is trying to teach you trust. Trust in a plan that is bigger than your timeline. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. When you understand entanglement, the desperation fades. You stop checking their social media every hour. You stop asking your friends for advice. You stop trying to manipulate the 3D reality to get a reaction. Why would you scream at a phone that is already off the hook? You know the connection is there. You can feel it in the silence. From obsession to surrender. So, how do you live with this? How do you function in the real world when your soul is entangled with someone who isn't there? This brings us to the final and most crucial shift. The movement from obsession to surrender. Obsession is the ego's attempt to control the connection. It is the constant checking, the overanalyzing, the replay of old memories. Obsession is rooted in lack. It screams, I do not have this, so I must grasp for it. It is a low-frequency state that actually pushes the other person away. Remember, this is a frequency connection. If you are vibrating at the frequency of need and lack, you are no longer matching their soul, you are matching their shadow. Surrender, on the other hand, is the soul's acceptance of the connection. Surrender does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop loving them. It means you stop fighting the flow of the river. There is a concept in Taoist philosophy called Wu Wei, which translates to effortless action. It is the art of letting things happen rather than making them happen. In the context of this deep soul connection, Wu Wei means loving them without attachment to the outcome. Can you love them simply because they exist? Can you send them love in your meditation or prayer without expecting a text back? Can you be grateful that you ever met someone who made you feel this alive, even if they never return? When you reach this state, the dynamic shift. The runner stops running because there is no longer anyone chasing them. The pressure lifts. You begin to focus on your own life again. You pour that intense energy into your art, your career, your body, your community. You become the high-voltage version of yourself that attracted them in the first place. You stop waiting for your life to begin, and you start living it. And paradoxically, this is often the moment they return. It is a cosmic joke, really. The moment you truly let go, the moment you are genuinely okay without them, is the moment the door opens. Why? Because you are finally whole. The universe says, okay, you passed the test. You are no longer looking for a crutch. Now you are ready for a partner. But even if they don't return in the way you expect, you have one. Because through this process, you have found the one thing that can never leave you, yourself. The journey of two souls locking into the same frequency is not a fairy tale. It is a hero's journey. It is a path paved with fire, silence, and mirrors. If you are in the thick of this right now, feeling the weight of the separation, I want you to take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel that hum beneath your skin. That is the frequency. It is not in the past. It is not a memory. It is a live current, running through you right now. Carl Jung taught us that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This person, this soul connection, was the catalyst for that becoming. They came to wake you up. They came to show you the depths of your own capacity to love. Nothing can separate you. Not time. Not distance. Not silence. The cord is uncuttable. The signal is eternal. So, stop waiting. Stop worrying. Trust the physics of your own soul. If the frequency is locked, the reunion is inevitable, whether it happens in this realm or the next, whether it happens tomorrow or in 10 years. The timeline belongs to the universe. The love belongs to you. Walk in peace, knowing that you are never truly alone. I hope this message found its way to you at the exact moment you needed to hear it. The universe rarely makes mistakes with its timing. If you felt a shift while listening to this, if you felt that resonance we spoke of, then you are already part of this tribe. I invite you now to engage with this energy. Like this video to affirm that you are ready to move from obsession to surrender. Share this with someone who might be silently suffering through a separation. You never know whose life you might change with a single link. And most importantly, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Official. We are building a sanctuary here for those who refuse to live on the surface. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, have you experienced this lock? Have you felt the telepathy, the synchronicities, the pain of the separation? Share your story. Let us witness each other. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your trust. Until next time, keep your frequency high.